If you're tuning into this, there's a reason. There's some energy for you here today. Think back to the very first real estate transaction. You could be in it right now, or it could have been 10 or 20 years ago. But do you remember that feeling? You were laser focused on the deal, the paperwork, the closing, the paycheck. But let me ask you something. What if that transaction was just the warm up? What if the real potential isn't how many homes you can sell, but how many people you can impact? Thank you for joining us today on the Agent Power Huddle. I'm your host, Dill Ward. I'm an icon agent and team leader with eXp Realty, located in Portland, Oregon. With almost 20 years in the industry, I still strongly believe that business should be more than just transactions. It should be the path to personal growth, meaningful success, and a life that you're so excited to wake up to. This series has Agent Inspired is designed to shift the way you think, the way you show up in your business, so you can lead with purpose, create lasting impact, and bring more joy into every day. So there's a huge difference between being a great agent and being the person that your community turns to for guidance, your peers look to for leadership, and your team rallies behind your vision. So today I wanted to talk a little bit more about sort of my path to leadership. And I know everyone is on their own journey, but I remember very distinct moments when I was in complete resistance to see myself as a leader. And, specifically when I started in real estate, I'm just a realtor, but what do people want me to do? Right. So I remember moments where I was just so eager to grow my business, to make more money for my family, to have a bigger impact. But I didn't understand that it was going to require leading other people. I always hear that thing where it says, leaders aren't born, they're developed, right? They're made and they're decided. And so many of the things I've done in my life that I'm super proud of, I have done with great intention. And when you put intention into anything, it's just like a recipe for success, right? So, but I remember distinctively, I was in, there's a bookstore here in Portland called Powell's Books. And it's like known for having all the books. It's like the biggest bookstore, just aisles and aisles and aisles of books. And I always love to go down, to the business area and peruse and look at the books. And there's so many different sections of business. It's, marketing, and it's website development, and it's accounting, and it's all these other things. It's all these little segments. And I remember specifically walking down the aisle. I looked up and it said leadership. And then I just saw like all these books and I was like, oh no, that's not what I'm looking for. Keep going. And like the next one was marketing. And I was like, marketing. Yeah, I like that. That sounds good. Let's look at these books. And I was just like, I didn't know it at the time, but I look back to that moment and I have a physical sensation of resistance of knowing, no, that's not for me. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to market myself. I need to tell the world that I'm a realtor, right? So, but what I would find ironic a decade later is that was the very thing that could have probably got me there faster than just telling more people that I was a realtor, because that also got me to a successful path, but not being in resistance about leadership. And so I want to talk sort of about the evolution of stages of the business and career development. And so you could kind of figure out where you are in this journey and we can nudge you to kind of keep growing in the right direction. So stage one is really mastery of the craft, right? We call this practitioner level. So if you're newer in the business, then shoot, man, you got to learn the contracts. You got to learn the local flair of the processes, the inspections, the players. Who are all the agents that you got to deal with? Who are the resources that you need? All the things. You have to become a master of the craft. You have to build credibility in your marketplace. You have to get you have to get other agents to respect you as someone who's going to get things done. You have to get your clients to respect you. You have to get people to respect you to become your clients, right? There's a whole level of development around that. And that requires you to deliver consistent, remarkable service that creates raving fans. So that's that initial phase of getting into transactions, getting through them without them hating you or you hating yourself. And then, get reviews and start building reputation. So this stage is all about skill and reputation, right? That's this level. Now, here's the thing. Once you've mastered those basics on getting to transactions, getting clients, and doing a good job at it, people tell other people. And through the art of telling other people, you get busier. You start getting referrals. The referrals come and you don't always have any way to throttle the tempo in which they're coming at you. And so through that process, you eventually go, oh my gosh, I have more work to do than I could do myself. So you start realizing that you need to expand in ways, but you're usually in resistance. You're usually like, I can do it all, because that's also a notorious characteristic of a good salesperson. They just think they can do everything. I was told recently that highly successful salespeople literally have no concept of time. Like, oh, we can do all of that in 5 minutes, like to the rest of their team. The projects should take 6 months. No, I think we could be that by this week, right? We're delusional about time in some ways. But through the act of your ever-growing business, you start getting momentum and energy. And through the momentum and energy, you want to give back to your community in ways that help you leverage your business. And this is about the time that you're getting the confidence that other people are interested in what you have to offer and who you are, right? And this is what I have noticed. A lot of agents kind of get stuck right here. They're just great at real estate and they don't really take it much further. But then there's some of the crazy ones. Then there's some of the crazy ones that are like, how much bigger can it go? And it usually starts, for a lot of people, not everyone, but for me and for a lot of people I've witnessed, it starts with being a leader in the community by hosting something, hosting anything, hosting a community yard sale, hosting monthly potlucks, hosting meetups, hosting mixers, hosting something, getting people together. Now, if you're brand new in business, this is the ticket. This is the fast path, guys. Unless you just love online leads and strangers to kind of reject you, getting your community together with shared values. And this is the key. Value signaling what is important to you. If you have kids, if you have pets, if you're into sports, if you're a pickleballer like me, if you're if you're in a religion, if you're a single mom, if you have 8 dogs, like whatever your thing is, whoever you are, you can reflect outward into the world and gather the other humans who are passionate and see the world the same way you do through some kind of community event, some kind of shared experience. And this is another stage where I have seen people get stuck, including myself. So here's a funny story. So when I was getting started, I had moved, well, I guess I should say when I was getting restarted. So I had been a realtor in Florida for a little bit of time, and then I moved to Oregon and had to start completely over. Nothing is more humbling than achieving any amount of success and then having to start completely over as a newbie again. And through that process, I was like, wow, I need to make some friends of people who are going places and that can help me have a bigger vision. Because it was really easy to meet friends that were doing nothing. It was super easy to meet people who literally were just at the bar 3 nights a week, doing nothing with their lives. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not shaming anyone for doing that, but that's just not where I wanted to go with myself. So I was like, how can I make some friends? So I started a women's business meetup called Women with Moxie. And I just went around and collected women in business and started a meetup. And I did this by literally making a flyer and going to coffee shops. And I remember going, hey, you're a woman and you have a laptop. Any chance you have a business? I'm having a meetup. You want to come? Right. So I was building my courage. I was building my leadership capacity in that moment. I didn't know it, but I was building my courage because marketing was the ticket to get more contacts, to build out more opportunities for myself. So I was willing to do that. And through the act of that, I built a very large organization with monthly events. Well, here's the funny thing. For months and months and months, and maybe even over a year or maybe two, I've kind of lost track at this point, but I know distinctively that I would not be the one to make the announcements for the group. I know that sounds crazy. Now, anyone who knows me now, they're like, what? That's crazy. But I was just like, I was just not me. I was just too shy. I mean, I had gathered all these people here, got them into the room to do the event. And I was like, somebody needs to say something about why we're here or what's happening next. And so I would just pick someone that had more courage than I did or more public speaking experience or whatever. And I was like, you need to go say something. And I would just sort of insert a leader to the group because of my resistance to see myself as the leader of the group. Now, hopefully that's not happening for you. Hopefully you're just natural born and you're rolling with it and you're fine. But I would definitely had to rock myself into motion. Well, one time I remember specifically, I said to this person, hey, can you go make the announcements? There's all those people here. I mean, it must have been 60 or 70 people in the room. And I was like, I can't do it. I said, can you go make these announcements? Well, they were so bad at making the announcements and corralling the crowd to what we were trying to do. It was that moment that I was like, okay, all right, maybe I should just give this a try. Maybe I should step up. This is my event after all. And I did. And I stepped up and I fumbled through it awkwardly. But I got such a high. I got such a thrill of like, oh my God, I did it. I can't believe I did it. And before, most times people in the audience aren't really affected either way. Like that, they're not paying that much attention. But for you as the person with all of the momentum and the pressure in your mind, it's a big, big deal, right? So I just remember going, wow, this is my organization, my events, my effort, and I'm scared to be the one who is in charge of it. So from that moment forward, I was like, I guess I'm the host now. I'm in charge of this event. And it was that moment that I felt everything change in myself and in my business because of my willingness to allow myself to see myself as a leader, as someone who can lead the crowd. Then the very next time I'm taking a buyer on a buyer tour, I don't know, I had a different pep in my step, a little firmer in my shoulders, able to stand a little taller because I knew I had the backing of this community and all these friends and all these people who were doing businesses and resources that I could bring to the table, which had value to a potential person moving into the city and looking to get connected as well, right? So whatever that is for you, however that looks for you and what you're doing and you're evolving, if you're just starting or you've plateaued just as a master of the craft, this is the time. This is the time to take the action, take the lead. And P.S., great lead generation. I could do a whole nother episode on that about how growing your community grows your business, how you can, just generate endless leads from putting together people who have shared values that are way more fun than internet leads or Zillow leads, guys. Way more fun, just everlasting friends, and will change your personal life on such a deep level in addition to your business. Okay, so then I call this, so practitioner stage, I call this community leader stage. So then you're on the bridge of the next stage, which is the bridge stage, and that's starting to see the vision of your business beyond yourself. So from being the person who's just barely trying to get calls to get people to call you to buy and sell real estate, you've got that mastered, you're running a community group, but you still haven't given yourself permission to lead other people in your business or in their own business to work alongside you. And this is, every one of these stages is just a mindset. And that's why I literally have moments where I'm like, hey, I see when the light bulb went on in my own life, and I was able to see the next part. And that's why I thought today, if I just highlight all this for you, maybe you might see where you are and give yourself permission to take the next step. So in this bridge stage, you're starting to get a vision beyond yourself. You're recognizing that your success has created some influence. You're serving your neighborhoods, you're hosting events, but now you can't do it all. Now you definitely can't do it all. Before you were like, couldn't do it all, but you were just messily doing it all somehow. But you at this point have you're like an octopus. You got a leg in every direction, and you need some momentum from the help of leverage of other people. And through that, you start hiring some team, you start hiring some administration, you start seeing that, oh my gosh, how good does it feel when you don't have to do the paperwork, or you don't have to, post the social media, or whatever the thing is that you want to outsource at this point. And I think what's so important here is that is that you recognize that you're going to need different skills. And at each step, you need different skills than you had that got you to the step before. And I think that's another reason people stop, because they just get tired of learning, tired of being a newbie again, tired of risk, tired of all the things. And what I have noticed in my observing of other people's business and their development is a lot of people give it a very half-ass attempt. They hire their cousin's best friend's roommate because they were looking for a job, and they put them in a role, and then it blows up. Something happens, and maybe it goes good for a minute, and it blows up. And then I like to call this hiring trauma. Like literally, they've hired someone, it didn't work out, and then they go years without hiring someone else. And I'm actually guilty of this as well, right? Because if you don't know how to become an employer or a team leader, or someone who is entrusted with the livelihood of someone else, it's like being brand new again. It's like putting on your baby shoes again. You have to start fresh with new skills and new challenges. And without intention, without going into it saying, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it as best as I can, and I'm going to learn as much as I can, and I'm going to get better, 1% better every day. You're just kind of doing it half-assed. You're like, well, I guess I'm in charge, and you're the one working here, so here's what we're doing. And then you wonder why it all blows up and why it goes so poorly. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. I know agents today that are crushing it in their business, but they still have no staff. And they're drowning in their own work because they've created so much work for themselves, but they don't have any staff because of a 4 years ago person they hired. And they always can go right into the story as if it was fresh. Oh, then they did this, and then they did that, and then I was so disappointed, and then, it all blew up, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, own that story and move on, man. Iterate your business. Try again. Be a better hirer. Get more intentional. Figure out what you actually need. Write a job description. Be a boss, man. Be a boss. So that bridge stage is messy, and I can't believe how many people are stuck there. So that is encouragement to lean in and grow. And then the fourth stage of the evolution in my mind is when you are a team leader, when you're like, okay, I figured out how to do my business. I figured out how to get administrative staff to support me in doing my business. But now I want to empower other people to succeed. And I want to build a culture around that success that's more purpose driven than just production driven. And that's when your leadership is evolving into mentorship, and it's giving you the ability to multiply your impact in ways that you never knew when you set out on this journey to say, I think I'm going to get a real estate license. You never knew when you decided to get a real estate license that you were suddenly going to be a community leader and a team leader, and just showing up every day 1% better to help impact the lives of other people. And I truly believe, now having got to that stage myself, that damn, wish I would have done this sooner. This is where it's at, because not only is money flowing, but energy is flowing all around me, from my clients to my team, to my organization, to all around me. And I'm thinking to myself, I see where I was stuck. I see this one little mindset that and I think the CRM actually did it to me. So I want to share this with you in case this helps you, is that in the CRM, the customer relationship management, hopefully you all have one, because at this point you need to have one in your business. But you go in and you label people. You label people: client, realtor, mortgage lender, escrow, and then that's how you file them in your brain. That's how you know who Peter is. That's how you know who Susan is. You're able to put a label, put a bucket on them. But the minute that I realized anyone can be everything, I was like, whoo, my brain just kind of broke. And this happened actually by accident, because I had messed up if you will, a outgoing message that was supposed to go just to my clients. So I'm just going to out myself. It's a crazy thing. I was doing a client appreciation pie party for Thanksgiving, which I have been doing for a long time now, but this was early on. Early on, I was like, okay, I'm going to send out a message to all my clients, inviting them to come and get a free pie for Thanksgiving. Well, I messed up in the labeling of the people, and I accidentally sent it to my entire database. So I sent it to all the other realtors that were in my database, mortgage people, all the people. I sent it to everyone. And golly gee, the first 10 people that registered for a free pie were other realtors. And this was supposed to be client appreciation. I was trying to figure out how to pay for 10 pies. I was like, oh my God, this was a disaster. But later on, years and years later, when I figure out, oh my gosh, that was the beginning of brilliance, because those agents who came and got a pie were so moved and affected by me and my generosity that I would, give them a pie for doing a transaction with me earlier that year or previous year. And they would then always like me, and they would then always, respond to my calls about listings, look at my offers when I brought buyers to the table. Like, I didn't know that accidental generosity would then spawn so much goodwill in the marketplace as a practitioner. And that was like, oh my gosh, you know what? Everyone can be everyone. Like, a realtor can also be a client. A client can also want to get a real estate license. A client can become a partner. A client can become interested in a community group. A realtor can become interested. Like, there's so many ways we can move people throughout our ecosystem that we can't be so limited by just whatever label we put on them in the CRM, because I don't know about you, but business needs people. We need people to buy from us. We need people to help us. We need people to serve us. We need people to accept our offers. We need people to write the loan for those offers. We just need all the people for all the things. So, moral of the story is, be nice to everyone all the time. Don't think of people just in single buckets, but look at your own journey and try to figure out the times when you felt yourself move and accelerate through this levels and this process, and figure out where you are now, and if you want to go to the next one. And if you're already a successful team leader and you're like, Dill, I'm already beyond you, I'm already running teams in multiple states and doing all these different things, then I'm going to challenge you to say, well, what's the next level for you? How can you make everything you do every single day make a bigger impact? And for the person who's at that level, their opportunity probably lies in doing less of something and more of something else, because all really successful people tend to be a bit control freaky and want to hold on to every last detail of things. And there's only so much of us to go around, right? Time is our most precious resource. It's all we have to spend every day is our time. And there's probably something that is holding you back from your growth if you are still doing it and you haven't pass the baton to someone else in your team or your organization or your ecosystem in your world. But that is my thoughts for you guys about all this today. I hope this inspires you. I hope this makes you think how you react viscerally when you walk down the business books aisle. And if you see the leadership books, and if you're like, that's not for me, or you know what, maybe I'll pull it off and see what resonates. Because everyone needs a leader, even if you're I don't want to say just, because I don't mean it like that, but even if your focus at this moment is selling real estate, helping a buyer or seller get into a house or out of a house, think about how much more effective you'll be as a realtor if you adopt leadership skills to help generate the energy and clarity for another person so they can cross the chasm of making big decisions, and you walk alongside them as an intentional, focused, skilled up leader. And don't see yourself so much as a realtor, but as a leader, taking them on the journey, being the Sherpa, taking them up the hill, and doing the transaction that way. Think about how much more effective you'll be and how much faster you'll start magnetizing awesome opportunities and more and more and more successes. So I'm going to leave you with this. The question isn't if you can lead, it's when you'll decide to start. So why not now? I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you on the next one.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.